Okay, I'll get into a little of the details on the certainty of implementation. So we ask ourselves, do the parties have the staffing and funding level and the resources needed to actually do the work that they say that they're going to do in the plan? We ask them if they have the legal authority and the commitment to proceed, that they've described that. So that could be, things like, does the state actually have the authority to manage wildlife? And we would look at things like that. Legal and procedural requirements are described, and fulfillment does not preclude commitment. I'll go back to the New England cottontail example. One of the legal and procedural requirements that's required to move New England cottontails around in Maine, in order to do that, the governor's office in that state had to approve any relocations or reintroductions. And so they hadn't done that, but we went through and described that legal and procedural requirement and talked about how Maine had actually planned to go through that process. Authorizations necessary or identified, kind of self-explanatory, I think. Type and level of voluntary participation necessary is identified. So how reliant is this effort on private landowners and their willingness to engage? Regulatory mechanisms are in place. Parties will secure the funding necessary. This one's a little bit hard to say, but there's and a lot of these things are very hard to do, but with funding in particular, we can look at track record. Has there been a demonstrated continual effort of securing funding resources? And might not have every nickel you need in the bank to do the work that you described, but you can demonstrate that you're trying to achieve those. And an implementation schedule is provided. So we might have an ultimate goal for how many critters we want on the landscape, but that we're hoping that any plans would talk about how they're going to get to those goals. So incremental objectives. And then the parties approve the agreement or the plan. So this, all the necessary people that have that are required to be a part of this agreement are on board. So those are the certainty of implementation. Again, track record here is extremely important, as we found.